Well, it's that time of the year again, time for the top 10 power characters on Bleach Brave Souls. And I'm not gonna lie you guys, this was really difficult. So much so that the characters that were left out of this list are still top tier. But unfortunately, I cannot include them all. So I took into consideration every game mode the game has to offer, and put together the best of the best. Please keep in consideration that the order of this list can change depending on the actual part of the game you're playing. This is not a top 10 list of a specific game mode, it is a top 10 overall. With that said, let's begin.
行くぜグランレイせろさっさと死にやがれ
Starting off the list is a character that, believe it or not, was actually at number 1 a year ago. And Noitora is still a great character. Unfortunately, he's not as relevant as he was a year ago, but he can still dish out quite a bit of damage. This is because while his attack stat isn't anything special, he has Flurry, meaning his normal attacks hit twice. Not only that, but he also has a normal attack damage link, which also gets applied twice because of his Flurry. Actually, as far as Flurry characters go, he's actually one of the faster attacking ones. The only one that actually beats him out is Retsu, which is saying a lot. But a normal attack isn't the only thing he has going for him, because his strong attacks, while they don't do that much damage, do come in handy. His strong attack 3 is a full screen move that helps break guards, and his strong attack 2 is a vortex move, and a long lasting vortex move too. This helps get enemies in one spot and prevents them from attacking, and lets Noitora strike them all at the same time, since they can't really go anywhere. But wait, there's more, because his special is actually really good. It doesn't really do that much damage, but it is full screen, and it inflicts defense weakening, which Noitora can then use to deal even more damage. Now I will say this character is not as relevant as he once was, because as far as PvE goes, there are several other characters that beat him, even some characters that didn't even make it on the list. Still, that's not to say he's not good. In fact, he's one of the best characters you can auto with because of that vortex and his flurry. Not to mention he has the highest defense in the entire game. Noitora is also still a great option to take in PvP. Now obviously with the characters that we have now, he's not nearly as relevant as he was before, but he can still deal a lot of damage seeing as most of the characters that we see are captains, and he has a captain killer. Getting him in the same team as a Retsu can still make for a pretty deadly combination.
じゃじゃーん！パーティーはこれからよ！キャンドルを灯してレッツクリスマス！
Coming in at number 9 on the list is the Christmas version of Ryuga, who is a seriously underrated character, and I'm not really sure why I don't see her more often. After all, she does have a pretty high SP, as well as Frenzy, and can inflict debilitating burn on absolutely everything. She also has a strong attack damage link and a human affiliation, meaning there's no killer that's good against her. But she has a Neuronkar killer, which actually comes in handy, even though it doesn't make sense. Still, with all of her strong attacks and the burn, this character has a lot going for her, and she's extremely useful in all kinds of PvE. She also has a very unique strong attack too, because to execute it correctly, you actually have to wait it out, and it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's a bit difficult to explain, but I'll do my best. It basically hits in 2 waves, one that has some range but it does a minimal amount of damage, and the last part's a blast that hits in one spot but does more damage. Overall, that strong attack has a decent amount of range but not that much power, and it can be interrupted by yourself if you flash step midway, which is pretty easy to do accidentally because in PvE you're constantly surrounded by enemies. Still, the rest of this character is pretty great. Her strong attack 3 is a full screen even though it doesn't look it, and her special does a pretty decent amount of damage on top of that debilitating burn. It is also full screen.
見えるかよ地獄が俺にすがりついてるぜよそ者の俺に手を貸してでもてめえを逃がしはしねえぞよ
Up next, we have Movie 4 version of Ichigo Kurosaki, who has one of the higher attacks in the game, as well as a plus 50 bruiser and a plus 25 nad link, meaning that he can increase the power of his own normal attacks by 75%. It's no flurry, but it's very close. He may not have the highest SP, but his strong attacks still come in handy. His strong attack 3 is a full screen move that breaks guard and may inflict debilitating weakening, and his strong attack 2 is a vortex move, which much like Noitora's is pretty great for crowd control. Now this Ichigo has a hollow killer. He also has a pretty average attack speed, which is strange considering Bankai Ichigos typically have a fast attack speed. Still, both of these things make him really good for PvE, and it makes his attacks hit really hard. Unfortunately, he has to stick to close combat and can't deal any major range damage, unless of course he uses special without a chappy, in which case it's a pretty decent amount of damage and it inflicts a debilitating weakening, which he can then take advantage of and deal a lot more damage with his normal attack.
私も本気で行きますか切り裂き紅姫
Taking the number 7 spot is Kisuke Urahara, Movie 3 Edition. Now if you watched my top 10 movie characters video, then you know the reason why I consider this character a greater asset to the game than Movie 4 Ichigo. Even though Movie 4 Ichigo's soul trait is considerably better. Still, this character with a plus 50 bruiser is not without damage. After all, his attack is a little bit higher than Movie 4 Ichigo's, and what he lacks in soul trait damage gets made up with range, which is something that Movie 4 Ichigo lacked. As I mentioned, Kisuke has a normal attack that's ranged, and all of his strong attacks come in handy, not just a few. His strong attack 3 as well as his strong attack 1 and his special have a chance to inflict debilitating paralysis, while strong attack 2 is a crawling vortex move that keeps enemies away and increases the combo. Speaking of which, the normal attack also helps increase the combo, because the last attack on the string has much wider range and it's piercing. The fact that he's ranged and his 25 recovery link make him a much better character to auto with, and in terms of PvE, increase the chance of his survival a lot more than the other guy. Honestly, my one complaint is that even though he has the captain cloak, he doesn't have the captain affiliation. And I know why he doesn't have it, I just thought it'd be kinda cool and it would help out in Senkaimon quests.
よーし頑張るよえへーい織姫必殺ウォーターアタック
Up next is another ranged character that we'll all have a chance to get again, Swimsuit Orihime, who, while she does have a lower attack than the previous two, is actually a lot more useful. For one thing, she has a Soul Reaper killer, which is way better than any other killer. Her strong attack 2 is also a shield move, which means she can not only deal damage, but also be a great support character. It also helps her maintain her link, which is also a bit of a double-edged sword, I'm not gonna lie, as it boosts all your damage, not just your normal attack, by 20% as long as your health is full, and having that shield move certainly helps keeping it this way. This and the fact that she's ranged make her a useful character to auto with, and having a human affiliation certainly helps as well, because there's no fear of entering a quest where the enemies have human killers. Orihime also has a killer special. It's full screen and she has bombardment. Not only that, it also weakens defense before dealing the damage, so you get a lot more damage out of it. If you equip a Tenshintai to this character, the damage would be over 400% of normal damage, and if she's full health, you might as well make that over 480. That's a pretty good reason not to chappy this character if I do say so myself. That, and her strong attack 1 is a 180% mag. Still, I wouldn't rely on that for damage, as her SP isn't that high, and the enemies would have to be lined up perfectly in order for you to take advantage of it. Next up is Tag Team Ichigo, who is an extremely useful character to have, what with the double killer and all. After all, the bosses are usually Soul Reapers or Arankars, so that makes him pretty useful if the enemy is either one of those. He also has a really high SP as well as Frenzy, and great range on his strong attacks, though none of them are really full screen. Still, they are very useful. His strong attack 3 is almost full screen, and his strong attack 2 is a long-lasting vortex move, which certainly helps with crowd control, and allows you to hit them continuously with a normal attack that isn't half bad considering it's pretty fast and he has a plus 30 bruiser. All of these things make this character a great character to have, and the fact that he has a double killer means that you can use him in twice as many things as any ordinary character. This character is actually a pretty good example of how I do my top 10 list. While yes, there are characters that deal more damage, they are not quite as useful to have as Tag Team Ichigo.
勝たせてもらうぜそう旅前セゲ鉄砲
Up next on the list is the manga version of Renji Abarai, who currently has the second highest SP for a red character in the game, and actually has a pretty decent attack stat. Seriously, it's like 5 points lower than Noitora's. It also has really good range and it helps with building up the combo. But normal attacks is not where this Renji shines. As I mentioned, he has a really high SP and he also has Frenzy. Renji also has an Arankar killer, which is pretty useful, and he has a strong attack recharge link that when stacked can go all the way up to 54%, letting you spam your strong attacks. What a good set of strong attacks he has. Seriously, Renji has amazing range on his strong attacks, especially his strong attack 3 that's a charge move and doubles in strength when fully charged, hitting with the power of a special. Still, not quite as strong as his special as it has a chance to instant kill, which is an extremely valuable thing for a special to have, especially now that Senkaimon quests are a thing, and having one can seriously help you out in the final levels. The amount of damage this character can dish out and the range that he's got make him one of the best power characters in the entire game.
どうやら仕置きが足らんようじゃの。
At number 3 on the list, we have Tag Team Yama, which doesn't really make any sense considering you never see his Zanpakuto spirit, but who cares cause this character is extremely powerful. Much like the other tag team character on this list, he also has a double killer, except his is Soul Reaper and Hollow. Not quite as useful as Soul Reaper and Arankar, but still extremely useful. Yama has a really high SP, frenzy, and debilitating burn on absolutely everything. He's also ranged, which means he can deal damage from afar, and he has fire resistance, meaning he's completely immune from being burned, which becomes quite useful in the harder PvE areas this game has to offer. But that's not all. You see, this character's strong attack 3 is also a charge move, meaning it hits with the power of a special when fully charged, assuming you build him correctly, though it still doesn't have the range of one. He also has a strong attack 2 that's a hybrid vortex move that brings enemies into one place before hitting them with the final strike. Sure, it may not be as powerful as some of the other strong attacks, but it still deals a decent amount of damage, and it's really useful for crowd control. He is certainly one of the better boss killer characters we have, and I for one really hope he's in round 2 of this year's step-ups.
4歩のうちに踏みしめた空間の治水化風の全てを凍結する視界氷結
At number 2, we have Toshiro Hitsugaya, manga version, who's still one of the most used characters in the game, and for very good reason. He has a really high SP as well as frenzy and can inflict debilitating freezing on absolutely everything he does. He also has excellent range, with his strong attack 3 being full screen. Not only that, but his strong attacks all have pretty quick activation speeds, effectively making this character as dangerous in PvP as he is in PvE. And not very many characters have ever had the number 1 title for both at the same time. While he doesn't hold that title anymore, he's still considerably good in both of them, as well as literally anything else in the game. Seriously, there's nothing this character isn't good at, and it's pretty easy to see how he made it this high on the list. At the same time, it's also strange to think that he was so good in PvP. After all, he has a strong tech recharge link, which while it is great in PvE, it's not so useful in PvP. He also has a hollow killer, which rarely comes up. Still, somehow he managed. He also has a really great special. It not only freezes everything and is full screen, but it also lowers the enemy's defense, which lets the special deal more damage, and the players deal more damage after that. With all of this going for him, there's no reason why Toshiro wouldn't be number 1. Last week. Now before I reveal number 1, here's a few characters that almost made it on the list, and it shows how far the game has gotten because all of these characters are top tier characters.
焦ることはない。どうせすぐに何もわからなくなる。
これでどうだ。夕闇にいざない色くまる。うわー行くぞ。夜市様の素晴らしさを思い知れ。行くぞ。春光。
見届けるがいい。全てを無に返すこの力を。トルメンタでムルシエラゴ。
Now Toshiro almost made it at number 1, but then 3rd anniversary happened, this character was released, and that quickly changed. Anniversary Okiura is not only one of the coolest looking characters in the game, he also has the highest SP in the entire game, not just for red characters. At least he does at the time of this recording, and it's a whole 16 points higher than the next highest SP. But because that's not enough, they also gave him a boosted strong attack damage link of 25%, as well as a strong attack 3 that's a charge move. And what a beautiful charge move it is. It doubles in strength when fully charged, and it deals a massive amount of damage. Okiura also has a strong attack 2 that's a shield move, that protects him for the next 3 hits, and puts a shield around his allies. Not only that, but this shield move is also a boost move. It's the first of its kind, and it boosts the entire team's attack, defense, and focus by 33%, effectively making his own attack stat higher than 800. This makes your normal attacks useful even with an SP build, especially since he has a really fast attack speed. And he has Enhancer, meaning that attack is going to be boosted for 20 seconds. These moves make him a really good team player in PvE, and along with his poise, a potentially decent character in PvP, though that's yet to be seen because he just came out. Still, the poise means that his charge move cannot be be interrupted, unless of course he's frozen, stunned, or dead. Okiura's normal attack, strong attack 1, strong attack 3, and a special all have a chance to inflict weakening, though unfortunately he doesn't have debilitator. Still, it does mean that his special does even more damage, and it leaves the enemies weakened for 5 seconds. This Okiura is also the first and only character so far to have a no affiliation killer. This is also a double-edged sword, because there's not many raids with no affiliation, but it's also kind of a hint that we might be getting more in the future. It also means that he has an exclusive advantage for the ones that we have now, with so many things that he has going for him, and so many variations of builds that would work for him, as well as the fact that he's a team player, makes this character the obvious choice for number 1. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for the next top 10 video.